That's right.
Welcome back, guys. It's the late night talk show every Wednesday from 10 till 12 a.m. on Ontop FM. I'm your girl Leticia, aka Leglelicious.
And I'm your girl, Miss Leesh.
And we are here with
me, Khareem Jamal.
Welcome back. Khareem Jamal was with us from last week talking about, well, should I say your mission? Is it a mission?
Yeah.
Is it a mission?
What, to provide knowledge to people? Yeah, that's the mission, isn't it, I guess?
Okay, cool, yeah.
So to enlighten,
yeah.
People, yeah.
His mission to enlighten the world about...
Well, the world.
Sounds missing.
About the world. My one, I'm trying to post.
Yeah, to enlighten the world about their history and their education in terms of who we are as a people, where we come from, where we derive. Just before we went to the break, we was talking about the slave ships and you know, them having these manifests of all of the people that they took from their countries and brought them to other countries.
Yeah. So they keep records.
Yeah, they keep records.
That's one thing they do when the Europeans.
But the records are so clean and clear and.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they keep records because that's what they do, and they, up to this day, they have references. Yeah, of stuff. So it's information, and information we know how valuable information is. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that we should look at some of those ship manifests. If you go to a website called slaveryvoyages.org, you will see some information on there that you can see the slave ships' names, where they came from, who was on board, their height, their sex, their age, everything about the people that were transported from West Africa to the Caribbean, to the Americas, and to South America.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating about it, a lot of the names that you'll see on some of those ships are Hebrew names, all ending with the suffix Yah, Y-A-H. I just showed you that, right?
Yeah, you're just showing us.
And you'll see that there, and you have to ask what the significance of that is. You probably people then know that what Hebrews, blacks, what's this? Then you start thinking about the whole Bible story. You start thinking about what's the score there. So there's lots of stories within the story for you to investigate.
What's the story about Amore? Wouldn't you like to know?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
He's singing that for real. Oh my god.
Yeah, but the story within the story.
Story within the story, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, she was speaking of the song.
You really?
Yeah.
No, because that's what she was just saying. So when it just dawned on me I'm like, really?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, tell me, going even back here, because you know there's a lot of monuments that we talk about. So you go to a lot of Asian countries, for example, and you have like I mean, when I went to Thailand, I must have went to about 50 million temples. And after a while, I was like, okay, I can't go to another temple. I can't see another gold statue of Sutton. And that's not me being rude, but it was just like, there's so many. So there's that side of things. But then there's also, you know, the whole thing with the nose and how they look. So a lot of the statues, they ain't got a nose, or the features of the people don't represent the actual people that's in the country.
What, the ones in Thailand?
Well, in lots of different places.
Now,
you see, like the Buddha then.
Yeah, you say it doesn't represent the people that's in the country, and
that's now. The people that's in the country now. Sorry, my dear.
And that's one thing we have to get used to. Whenever we see these countries, and don't try to imagine them as they are now, because then you can't see yourself having been there. But they look different now to what they used to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through different meanings of war, empire building, people moving, migrations, emigration, all these type of things change the complexity of the people that's in a particular country. Yeah. So when we read history, I said to you last week, when we're looking for ourselves in history, we're looking for black all the time, black reference.
Yeah.
And we might not see that because at one time there's only thing there is black. So you won't need to make a distinction between you and your next door neighbor because they all look the same. Yeah. You see? It's only later on down where we start to see that reference creeping in.
But so, because what I'm talking about is where like certain countries, like they ain't got noses, because the noses, when they built it in the replica of a black person, because that's what was there at the time, as you're saying, innit? Because we was there.
Well, you're celebrating yourself. That's what you do. So you build monuments to celebrate yourself. You don't build them to to worship somebody else.
Yeah.
So are you saying they've defaced them?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, you see a lot of defacement, and usually the nose is gone. You know?
Yeah, but also in lots of the Asian countries, you see a lot of the features that represent people of color.
Yeah, not just Asian countries, everywhere.
Well, no, I'm not saying I'm doing. I don't know.
She's making a shape.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm making a shape. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, thank you.
Being graphic.
Yeah,
you know?
I was trying to.
Yeah, because like even cheekbones and stuff is quite significant to us as well,
Got you the structure.
and the structure of the facial.
Well, that's one of the ways
Accolades.
where archaeologists denote who lived where. So the structure you're talking about of a typical, or not, I shouldn't use the word typical, of a black person's face, which is dolichocephalic, which means it's long-headed.
Okay.
Say that word again.
Dolichocephalic.
Dolichocephalic. Dolichocephalic.
Yeah, and then when you're looking at so for instance, Caucasians, they have a brachycephalic.
Who?
Brachycephalic.
Again.
Raki.
Brachy.
Oh, brack.
Yeah, bra.
Oh, like brat.
Almost. Yeah.
Brachycephalic.
Wow.
Just
What does
something.
that one mean?
Well, it makes it they have a kind of more like a
A
flat,
broad.
kind of broad face here, as opposed to
bigger.
Africans, which have more like long. But that's a generalization because we have all different types.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't have thought that we have elongated faces. I thought we was more broader
Well, it depends
on what area you're looking at, isn't it?
Will that be to do with like climate?
But even like
Stuff
Thailand and stuff like that, like the people
where
there.
where your features would be different.
yeah, to which particular area or region you come from. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Sorry.
No, I was just saying, because even in Thailand, for example, you see the fact that a lot of the stuff just looks black.
what it is. You know, Cambodia, all these places, the Khmer Rouge Kingdom, all these places. These are black people. You know, and I think with people, you know, looking for a typical black man, there's no such thing. We look all different types of ways. Some with straight hair, some with short curly hair, some with no hair, some tall, some short. We got every type, every physical look you can think of. We have.
Yeah, but that's because we're the first, though, isn't it?
That's right. And because out of you can produce anything. You see.
Why do you think they find it so hard to? I think I asked you this last week, didn't I? No, I said why don't they like us?
Well, you say they. We have to be careful. Who are we talking about? You see, because are you talking a power elite or are you talking about a group of people? Because sometimes people think, well, all white people hate us.
Yeah,
Or all Chinese people hate, or all this or all that. You see what I'm saying? But really, this game here, I call it a game, this power struggle is about powerful people wanting control of all people. It's not all people. They've sold people a narrative or a story. So if I tell white people, guess what? All you have to do is be born and you're superior. Well, yeah, they're going to lap that up, right? They don't
know no different. That's all.
That's what they're being exposed to, right?
Yeah.
So unless you have some kind of education or you have intelligence where you say, well, hold on a minute, what are you talking about? You know, then you challenge that narrative. Yeah, but the reason for that is so that people are fighting one another at the bottom layer. So at the top level, we can get on with our business and doing a ruling.
Yeah.
Same distractions that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Take people away from the bigger picture.
That's right.
And then, you know, you keep people in certain places and then they're governing the people that you're trying to keep. And then, yeah, so you got poor fighting poor, but trying to keep them under wraps whilst they're up there continuing to make and grow and grow and grow. Yeah.
Yeah, you have layers. And that's what it is. So all those intermediary layers are a buffer between you, and everybody else. So it's a few people getting the masses to do their work for them.
Yeah.
Like controlling the way you think, your thought process, the things you believe, everything like that.
Very interesting.
Late Night Talk Show every Wednesday from 10 till 12. I'm Leticia, aka Leglelicious.
And I'm your girl, Miss Leesh.
And we are here with
Khareem Jamal.
from the School of Africology.
Yeah, you said it, right.
Yeah.
She's like, sure, she can't wait to get an opportunity to say it. You know, every 5 minutes,
I know
like, you know.
now.
No, but I have to let the people know where you're coming
No,
from.
that's good, that's
Like
good,
you're not just here talking random. Like I'm here talking random. I ain't got no accolades.
I'm teasing.
Top line.
I ain't got accolades on history. But you know what? Yeah, did I tell you last week? I took my nephew. Me and his mum went to we went to Black Archives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they've got this timeline for. Yeah, it's really I don't know what to call it, but I'm not going to be. So yeah, so we went to Black Archives and looked at one of the free exhibition that they've got there, which is basically a black wall with a timeline on it, goes round. And I was really excited at the way that I was able to explain the stuff, because it's only got like a little bit of a skeleton there, but I was able to put meat on a lot of the different things that was there and explain to him a lot of the history and stuff. Okay. And I could hear myself talking and I was thinking, yeah, teacher's all right. Like, I knew quite a lot of stuff, do you know what I mean? And not to say that I didn't think I didn't know stuff, but you know stuff, but you don't really get to talk about it a lot. So, so it was good that I was able to, and even looking at it, I was thinking, there's things that's not even on there, because like, they didn't even have, well, I'm going to say, like, they didn't even have when Nelson Mandela come to England, or even anything to do with Bob Marley. And he had just learned his history. He'd done some history at home, yeah? So he was telling me some stuff about, well, that was about mountain bikes. It wasn't black history, but he was telling me some of the black history that he had learned about Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali and stuff. And then, you know, not that they're English or nothing, but there wasn't nothing specific about these certain peoples that I was thinking, well, I thought they would have had bits and pieces on them in relation to it as well.
We don't need to get hung up on the nationality of any heroes that you want to celebrate. And I think people get hung up on this thing, where's the British black? What are you talking about? It doesn't matter where, not you, it doesn't matter where we excel as a people, where we overcome struggle, where we create things, where we invent stuff. That's a celebration. I don't care if it's in America, if it's in Brazil, whatever. Why are we talking about, why we always focus on Britain, like Britain is part of us, like we belong to Britain. Got you. Are you with me? So we don't need to celebrate that. We celebrate everything, wherever it is, the diaspora. Yeah. So it's, wherever we achieve, that's a celebration. Don't get hung up on the nationality there.
Yeah, but I just felt like they missed out important people, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well,
there's a lot of people that I felt, but I guess it's only, how long is a piece of string in it? So there's only so much you can put. That you can put in there, you know? Big up 328 who said, good topic. Everybody global is replicating the black look today. So all that defacing was done to no avail.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because a portion of us, go out of our way to try to look like Europeans. But Europeans are everyone is trying to get a suntan.
Yeah.
Come on, wake up, guys.
But this is the thing, because when we go back to history, like even if we're talking about Sarah Bartman and these things where, you know, she was ogled and all of this because of her body and how she looked and stuff like that, put in a cage and all this kind of stuff, yeah. And then now, like, you know, we are synonymous for our, what they called big lips, big nose. Maybe they're not trying to get a big nose, but they're definitely trying to get lips like ours, cheekbones like ours, big breast, big batty, and all these things, which now even us as a people is running and go finding money to go put on extra batty and breast and them thing there, which for years we've been stereotypes and said, oh, look, your batty is too big, oh, your lips are too big. And then we've changed ourselves, you know, they talk about our hair, and you know what's so irritating, is that we've got the best hair in the whole freaking world. Of course, Do you know how we've got the best hair? You think white people could do to their hair?
That's actually
let me calm down.
Calm down.
No, because you see, I'm not passionate about that.
The excitement of it.
Because I'm not talking about hair, but I'm just talking about in general of how things have changed so much. And like, you know, just going about the hair, like, I went out one time and I looked at everybody in the room, and everyone, if they didn't have a weave, even if their hair was natural, their hair was straight, except for mine. I swear down. And I was like, wow, why is everyone just so afraid of having the, like, my hair can be afro, it can be straight, it can be curly. You can't do all them things with European hair. But yet we're so scared to embrace the beauty that we have. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, you know, because I'm not, look, I've got some plaits in hair. I do have weave hair in there and a wig. And then there's people that then come around and say, oh, you don't love yourself because you, mate, why don't I love myself? Because I'm just changing my look. I'm just changing it for a short period of time. But it's not, that's not me all the time. This is, you know, we're very creative. We're very versatile and innovative. Do you know what I mean? Like, we come out with bare things and everyone follows us.
Everyone follows us.
Do you understand? So, what is the problem? So you got a lot of black men who are like, oh, if you've got weave, you hate yourself. No, bruv, I don't hate myself. I just recreate myself every other day because I can do that. You know what I mean? Like, but it's so irritating as well, though, at the same time, because it's like, with what I'm talking about, where we was devalued so much for our naturalness that we took ourselves away and changed up ourselves so much, so now we're now paying to get back to what we was.
Yeah, but that's because that's what they put out there. That's what they enforced into people's minds. That's what they made people believe, that the European way was the only way. So that's why people then started changing themselves to look that way, because that's the only representation that they could see. That's the only success that they could see in front of them. You had to look that way to be able to be someone. So that's why people started changing themselves.
Well, it's a sad thing, actually, the psychosis of the mind.
Yeah, it is.
Where you're dissatisfied with what you look like, and you feel you must reinvent yourself to look like somebody else. So that I'm going to bleach my skin.
Well, that's the whole nother bargain there. Like the bleaching of the skin, like that one is amazing. I just can't.
Well,
but we're trying to get. Huh?
That's a psychosis. It's a mental illness.
Yeah,
if you're going to take bleach to change your color of your skin,
mental,
then you're not in your right mind. You're out of your mind. Yeah.
I saw a woman. Yeah. I think it was even in Nigeria. She was in a bath, yeah.
Oh, I saw that when they were scrubbing her.
No, she wasn't scrubbing. She was in the bath, yeah, and her skin was just lifting off.
Oh no!
And her skin was like I can't even think.
Well, think about
but
that.
she was really dark, yeah, and when the skin was coming off, it was just bubbling off of her, and I was just like, oh my day, it was horrible. Horrible.
If you see that, can you imagine the state of mind that person's in?
Exactly.
To put themselves through that and think that they're improving themselves in the process of doing that. You're not in your right mind.
But you see, but even within that, none of us is in. I'm not saying us, because I'm not saying I'm doing it, but I'm just saying us as a people, that we're not in our right mind.
That's right.
Because when you look at it, even the white people are trying to do the same thing. Like you said, they're going under the sunbed to get darker. Yeah. So it's like we're trying to get like them and they're trying to get like us. So we're all confused. Do you understand? Like we're all confused.
Yeah. So I mean I know that's something I learned from a very young age. And when people used to call us, nigger and all that kind of stuff, on a regular going to school, that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, well, how come these folks are calling us that? And every chance they get, they keep saying things like, oh, my skin's too white. I've got to go and get suntan. Things like that, So that just told me something from a very young age, that these people are crazy.
Mental.
And that just tells me something, that everybody, or those people, are dissatisfied with the way they look. And everybody wants to have some color.
Yeah, but no, because they want to have color. We don't want to have color.
Well, a portion of us are like that, you're right.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying we as in we, but
I know.
And that's not because because when I go on holiday, listen, I'm in the sun. I used to fry myself with oil and everything to get as black as possible because I like being darker. I'm not keen on my complexion. So I always try my hardest to just get as dark as possible.
So you wear no sunscreen, no?
No, I did, but I wear baby oil. That's what I'm saying.
Baby oil? You're cooking this?
That's what I tried to do. Cook myself so that I could get like my skin takes the sun very quick and easily anyway, but I was just trying to help it on with the thing, innit?
I sometimes we are so silly. Now I'm not telling people must employ wisdom, but I remember watching cricket in the 80s and so on, and we never had no sunscreen in our skin on the cricket field. All of a sudden they start putting out this stuff about sunscreen and stuff, and I see some black men who have a natural sunscreen. Yeah, we got melanin. Yeah. With place painted white with sunscreen on. I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with us? Somebody tell you something, and you just run and do it. You already got sunscreen, bro.
Like you didn't realize
melanin is your sunscreen. Okay, that doesn't mean you must go out there and stand up in the middle of the sun, because they said mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. Yeah, we don't do that. Even in the Caribbean, we don't go out and stand up in the hottest part of the day. In the sun, you have to employ wisdom. But at the same time, you don't need to be doing all of that because you have a natural sunscreen anyway. Yeah, providing you employ common sense.
But then, in terms of like having a natural sunscreen, obviously our bodies are kind of climatized to like here, like if you could say, where we don't always get sun. So if we go somewhere that's mad hot, then you need to be protected to an extent.
Well, I don't know. Anybody else that doesn't worry me. But I mean, just because you don't see the sun doesn't mean it's not shining. The sun never stops shining.
The sun rays, isn't it?
When people say, vitamin D is the most important, one of the most important vitamins we can have.
Definitely.
And the biggest source of that is the sun, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we have to see great big blazing sunshine for us to get vitamin D. The sun's shining.
Yeah.
There's clouds are in the way,
Yeah.
but ultraviolet rays still penetrate.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I said sun rays, but the ultraviolet rays, because you can get worse a tan from the ultraviolet than from the actual sun as well, isn't it?
That's
And
really
sometimes when
important.
it's cloudy, it can be worse than when it's not cloudy.
Yeah. So don't be fooled by the fact that you don't visibly see the sun light.
Yeah.
It's there.
Mm.
It's obscured by clouds.
Sun bright.
You got a song for everything, right?
It's not, yeah.
I was going to say, listen, she's taking my position, yeah. We
All
swap
right, okay.
roles, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where we at now?
We were talking about the sun.
I think we're done with the sun.
Oh no, you were talking about how basically they want to look like us and we're trying to look like them.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
everyone's in a state of confusion. Everyone's.
The
It's
psychosis.
say everyone, but a lot of people are
It's got mental health.
hard to say. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what it is, right?
Definitely.
If I'm gonna put acid on my skin
Mm.
Yeah.
to strip my skin, the natural complexion that I've got, to look like something else, and and look at what you look like
I was
after.
gonna say you don't even look like.
Well, this is
something
the
else.
thing, because the skin, it just, all you see is veins and greens and...
Patchwork and
So-
Yeah, it
one
doesn't
color
match.
dark there.
Yeah.
and what's that? Then you think that looks better? You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I'm straight talk, man.
But maybe, are we saying that because we are not in that position, or we're not in that psychosis where we need to do that for ourselves? Because what... Is it fair to say that,
What's it?
that they're not in their right mind?
Of course, they're not in the
They're
right
not.
mind. Because
some
the
people
question you
say-
ask is, why are you doing that? What would you say? What would
Some
they
people
say?
say because my skin's uneven.
What do you mean, honey?
So you bleach it.
So you just do it a little bit to try and even out the skin tone.
Even on skin tone, I want to beat. What would people? How do people rationalize that behavior? Because I like to interview some people who bleach their skin and say, well, "Okay, what's your reason for doing that?" Nobody will give you a coherent answer that makes any sense.
No. Their reason is because they believe being lighter makes them more beautiful, more
Yeah, but then
attractive.
that's the other side of it though, because that was an issue, isn't it? Because if you look back in the history again, being light was acceptable. The light-skinned people got further in the places. They were like the housemaids, or you got
It's not
further.
back in history. That's now.
Well,
That's even now. You're gonna care. Look, that is the
no,
same.
it's now, but definitely back in slavery, like you had that as well. The
That's
mulattoes.
where
and
it's
all that.
established.
Well,
So then the legacy of that, we're still living in that. We still have that in certain parts of the Caribbean, in Africa. But that is, again, the same creation of those kind of buffer zones between the hierarchy. Yeah? This is what they do.
they do it in Asian countries as well.
Yeah, they create
It's
that.
rife in Asia.
So you think that, even at the bottom level, there's a hierarchy. And I'm better off than you. So, and everybody wants to feel better than somebody. Yeah? So, you can't do what I can do. You haven't got the same privileges I've got because of complexion of my skin, blah, blah. And people feel good in that. And I said, no people, some people. That's the thinking. So you create this whole mentality of shadism.
Yeah, or colorism, that's the word
Yeah.
that we use. Colorism.
Colorism,
Innit?
shadism, what? Same thing.
Yeah.
Madness. So people, we have the time now, 2020, we should be seeing through that now. There's no excuse for us not to educate ourselves on the real facts of things, of life. How we got here, why are we here? How are they keeping us here? Because you mentioned the word independence earlier on. I said to you, last week I said there's no independence.
Yeah, no, there isn't.
But we go and dance and sing and drink and frolic and stuff. Yeah, independence, wave a flag. Yeah,
And you're still underneath.
But it's an
something.
illusion.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's why I started. A lot of that I just stopped falling with because it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, I guess even because, like last week someone was saying about the whole Pan-African thing as well. And, like starting all over again, culturally to start all over again, where would you start? Even for myself, like I was, my friend, this sustainability self, Terence, and one of the questions that he made a statement and said that, he's changing his name. And I was like, yeah, because he didn't want to say what his name was, but his surname is Smith. But that's like me. My surname's Simpson. I got Chinese, Vietnamese, Singamese, Pakistani, Indian, all kinds of different cultures underneath. It's got Simpson.
All kind of
Do you know much?
All kind of ease.
All kinds of E's.
Yeah. Chinese, Vietnamese.
Oh yeah. Like I'm like, boy, my family's big. Like my family's big anyway, yeah. But under this Simpson bracket, yo, do you get me? Like, so my next plan is to go down that route of my my history to find out where I actually am derived from. Like, what is my actual my surname? And I should have digged up my makeup thing, because I did go to the ancestry place and they did not my DNA, but they told me the different countries that I'm made up of. And it was about, was it 7 or 8?
Yeah, I was going to say probably a whole heap of different thing, but the percentages will be greater in some places.
Yeah, the percentage was greater in some places than the other. And like I said, I should have digged it up because.
How did they identify that from your blood?
Yeah, did a blood? Was it blood or
the DNA?
or spit?
Yeah, but it's DNA from there.
Yeah, take the DNA from your spit. Listen, that's why you could anyway.
So certain DNA is prevalent in certain areas. So yeah, it predisposition to certain areas of the world, and you see that there's a concentration of people with this type of RNA DNA in certain areas. So that's why they could attach you to certain geographical areas. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so I should dig it up and to show you like the range where I come from. And
do you remember any of it?
I just remember Benin.
Benin. Yeah.
That's the only one I remember.
And what percentage of Benin was it? Do you remember?
I think it was 7%, and I was a bit upset.
7.
I think it was the only one that was black.
That's okay.
The rest of them was some different kind of places, and I was just like, oh, really? Yeah, I wasn't keen.
Is that what you
No, because I wanted to be more black, innit?
I hear that.
But I wasn't as black as I thought I was.
No, yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
Yeah. You know, you want to say, yeah, I'm down with the peoples, you know, because I'm black, yo, because I'm black and black.
Coming.
I'm black because I'm black, yo, soon to be released. But yeah, so I was a bit upset about that. But yeah, so that's one element of it. And the other element is that, you know, see, like he was able to go and see the slave names and all this and that and the other. I want to be able to go back and say, you know, see that my surname was... I ain't going to make up nothing because it sounds stupid. Simpson is not my name. Simpson is some...
That's right.
Some random, I'm going to say Caucasian man. It's a slave master's name. It ain't no black man's name. Because if my dad has got a lot of children, yeah, may he rest in peace, yeah, but his forefathers wasn't breeding up the place like that. No way. No way. For us to have, and not in all them, well, you know what, Manti can go far anyway, so maybe, but I know it's not, because there's too many Simpsons all over the gap. It's just not.
So if you're a Simpson, hit... No, I'm joking. Don't do that.
Like, look at, what's her name? And you went back, like, her and her friend at school, yeah, they both got the same surname. So they went digging to see, you know, if there's the connection. And all in now, nothing.
Do you know what? Even a follower on Instagram once was like, oh, your name's Simpson, so is mine. And then he was like, are we related? And then we went back a little bit. He was like, oh, no, we're not related.
Yeah, but you're saying that, but then how do you know that you're not? Because if we was all on the same flipping,
obviously
same
maybe far back,
slave
but
master.
when we done
well, it depends on how you got your name.
Yeah, but no, we didn't go that far back, but we went back like a few generations back and we couldn't find a connection. That's how it was like, no, we're not related.
I'd be surprised though, isn't it? Because they say 6 degrees of separation. People walk far, moving from one family to the other to look for work. Because remember, look, people was in their family groups, and then they had to they may not have been doing well over Yasser, so end up in other.
That's what I'm saying, but that'll be far back, like.
Yeah, but even if you're looking at the period of slavery, because of our experience, I mean, you could be marrying a very close relative of yours without even knowing. You know, maybe not so much now, but certainly closer to the period of slavery when people were enslaved.
Yeah.
Because they were, you have 6 kids. I read 2 of them away selling over there. They go to Mississippi, or they go, somewhere else. You separate from them. You don't know them. Years later, you buck up each other, and you think, oh gosh, he's nice, whatever. Next thing, boom, married, and you still don't know. So there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's happened to us in our experience as well, which is tragic.
That is very tragic.
Maybe that's where the 6 degrees of separation come from. But it's not. It's actually smaller than that anyway. But we won't go into that. So that's anything to go into anyway. But still.
So.
Okay.
So where are we?
Man, touching everything here.
We've touched on a lot, but I feel like we just touched the surface.
Yeah, so you need to do this every week for a year to even...
He said every week for a year.
Well, because we still be touching the surface, even after that period. That's what I mean. That's how expansive.
What's your favourite subject?
My favourite subject?
Within
this subject.
Yeah.
Topic. Yeah.
Like, what do you... Like, short of being comfortable talking about, but... Like, what part of your history or our culture excites you? Or...
All of it.
Yeah, but is there a specific topic that you like more than the rest?
Not really, because, you're always discovering
it's all
something.
quite something new, in it? So it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, you're always discovering something. And you have to be quite deliberate about educating yourself. You don't wait for information to come for you. You have to go and look for it.
You have to go and look for it, for true.
Well, definitely.
Otherwise, if you're waiting, all you're going to do is receive what people give you. And people may only give you what they want you to know. You see, and that's the problem. So you have to be very deliberate about research. And so I'm always doing that. Sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning I might wake up and I'm thinking, well, as I'm awake, let me do something. Yeah, so I might listen to a lecture, or I might go and look for something, or I might get an idea, or do you know what I mean? There's no point being awake and do nothing.
Well, when I get awake, I try to get back to sleep.
Yeah, but I can't do that.
I know, but that's what I was saying to Miss Leesh earlier. I said, like, I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, 3:30 this morning. I woke up after going to my bed after 12, yeah. And then I'm saying, listen, no, mate, I need to go back to sleep. But the reality of it is that I know I'm not going to get back to sleep, but I'm still trying to force myself back to sleep rather than me get up and just start doing the thing that I need to do. Like, I'm like, no, this is not fair. I need to sleep.
Well, you can sleep when you're dead.
But that's not happening for now.
Hopefully. That's...
No, I hope it's not a process.
Okay.
So, but yeah. So yeah. Okay. All right then. So you said all of it fascinates you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because there's so much to discover.
So much to discover, isn't it?
And there's so many out of the way things to discover where people would normally associate with us. Yeah. Whether that be an invention, or whether that be, a people in a place where no one expected you to be.
Like Yorkshire.
Or even some more exotic climes than that, perhaps. Yeah.
Well, where else then are you talking about then? Where would you say you would expect us to be then?
Well, remember everywhere. I remember I said to you last week. First I said to you, we are everywhere where people are. Mm-hmm. We were there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's no place on this earth where there wasn't a representation of us there. Mm-hmm. In ancient times, even though we're not there now necessarily.
Mm. What do you think is the biggest secret that was never told?
Oh my God.
Or the biggest lie? So many.
So many. The whole existence is a lie.
The whole existence is a lie?
Our existence is a lie. Everything.
What do you mean by that?
Because they've created this, if you want to use the word matrix if you like, but we're living in a world where very little that we see or hear or believe is true.
Okay.
And the truth is probably more fascinating than what we...
And the lie that they're telling us.
Yeah.
So why do you think that they operate?
It's control.
Okay.
It's control. So we have to keep coming up with ideas to how do I keep control. Remember, this whole thing is a war that is continuing in how do we keep control of the people. People are becoming smarter. Mm. People have got more resource. Mm. So it's always a developing and evolving process. We have to keep thinking about how are we going to change our game. Mm. Yeah, because people are becoming smarter, so we got to do something else. And that's why I have these think tanks. Think tanks with all these clever minds that come together, sit in a room and plan society, basically. Anything from population to disease to wars, to resources. How do we get them and that kind of thing.
Tell me, what about the Red Indians?
Red Indians, okay. What about them?
What part do they... in terms of our culture?
Well, if you talk about native...
Yeah, native Indians.
Native Americans, what we call Native Americans, among native people in America would be native black people. Mm. So everybody that's black in America didn't come on the slave ship. Mm. That's the point I'm making. You see,
when you say everybody that's black in America didn't come from the slave ship. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you read books like... for instance, there's a man named Constantine Rafinescu. What days here? So late 18th century. Mm. going around America and exploring parts of America where no European has been, pretty much, okay?
Oh.
And the reason he's doing that because he's looking at all the fauna, that is the plants and everything, and the people that live there, okay? And he's drawing pictures and he's describing them in his book. Constantine Rafinescu, he's from Europe and he lives in America, but he's multi-disciplined, so that means he's got a lot of different scientific qualifications, zoology, he's also biology, everything. So he's able to put these things together, those strands together. So he's going around and he's drawing all the fauna, all the plants he sees, and all the people. And everybody he meets, he compares to Yoruba or Ethiopian. Because the reason he's doing that, because that's what he knows these black people to look like.
Okay.
You with me?
Yeah.
So if you come across something that you think, well, what's that doing here? That looks like a Yoruba. Because he knows about them. But we're in America, we're not in Africa. Yeah. So, and all he keeps doing is talking about the black people he meet in America. These are the native peoples in America. See, but you never hear about this type of thing, you see.
What's that name he's called?
Constantine Rafinescu.
No, not him. You said the two
Yoruba.
people.
Oh, Yoruba, just using that. Yoruba and Ethiopian. So Ethiop. So those are just terms they use to describe black people. Yeah, there's a general term, see, but that's what they know. You see. So everywhere he's going, he's seeing all these native black people there, Native Americans, and they look like the black people that he knows from Europe and he's seen in Africa. Okay, but you don't hear about. You keep hearing about Red Indians, which is a nonsense. Red Indians. What is that?
I don't know.
You see. So once they put something, it's Hollywood, isn't it?
Oh.
Hollywood gave us that Red Indian
I would have
narrative.
thought it's the people.
Well, that's where we got that idea from.
So you know what Thanksgiving's about? Them taking away the land from the native Indians.
What Thanksgiving is about. I mean, the first Europeans that go, the first British people that go over to settle in Jamestown in America, are starving. On the point of death. How can you be starving in America? This place is like, so that shows you how little they know about agriculture and this kind of thing. So they're starving. It's the Indians in that area which saved them, giving them pumpkin, giving them things like marrows and melons and those types of fruits, which sustained them and show them how to. Well, they didn't want that. They killed the people who gave them those things. Yeah. I mean, if I come and save you?
Yeah, they're evil.
I save your life, and after you set yourself up and you know how to sustain yourself now because you taught me, I kill you.
They no longer have no
What kind of people? Who does that?
Savages.
Yeah. So Thanksgiving is about thank you God because we survived this period of starvation. But it doesn't talk about how you survived it. It's the native people that gave you the things to make you survive, but then you murdered them. What about that?
So we're celebrating murderers, basically.
Well, you're celebrating a murderous epoch in your history. Yeah, but you're not talking about that part of the history. You're talking about
You're
your
celebrating
survival.
a what? We say
Epoch is a period of time. So you're not talking about that. You're just talking about, hey, let's celebrate with some turkey. Yeah, we get some turkey and every kind of meat you can think of on the table. Yeah, God bless America. That nonsense, right? But you're not talking about the real story, the real narrative.
How you actually survive.
How did you survive?
Yeah.
How? And what did you do when you survived? Genocide on the people there. You've got to be wicked to do that, man. Come on. I mean, who does that?
But America is wicked, though.
Well, of course it is, from the beginning. And that's why that...
Wicked.
Yeah, what you see now, if I want to use a metaphor...
Someone wants to go live, but go on.
But here's a metaphor. So if you plant bad seed, then the fruit you're going to get is very bad, yeah? Yeah? A bad tree can't bring forth good fruit.
No, it can't.
And a good tree can't bring forth bad fruit. Yeah? And that's what you get in America now, because the seeds were bad in the beginning, so the harvest is rotten.
But it's gone, Benjamin. I thought you wanted to go live. Okay, so what about Aborigines?
Well, Aboriginal just means native, really. That's what it means. So the word Aboriginal just means native people or autochthonous people.
You say naked people?
Native.
Native people.
They may have been naked at one point, I don't know. But you're talking about the Australian Aborigines, yeah? How are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about them?
Well, just what about them? Can you tell me? Or tell us? Because I know that, like, in terms of they were indigenous population. I mean, we all know the atrocity. Well, we don't all know the atrocities that.
That type of black man you see, what people know as the Aborigines of Australia, is typical of the type of black man you would have seen in that part of Asia, all over.
Okay.
Not just Australia.
That part of Asia, as in Australia.
Yeah.
Australia.
Well, Australia
right
is Oceania,
next to it,
but it's next door to Asia. So
That's like when you get a flight, it normally goes there.
Yeah.
Or it's so close to get.
yeah, so that is it's geographically known as Oceania, but it's next door to Asia. Okay, Southeast Asia. So then you'd have anywhere you go from, I don't know, Borneo or anywhere like that, Fiji, the islands, the Pacific, and also Guinea, New Guinea, places like that. Those are typical, the same kind of people that populate all those places there. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, so those Aboriginal types you see in Australia are the same type of people you've seen all over that kind of area. It's not just Australia that they were present. But of course, I don't know if we spoke about this last week. I think we spoke about it in one of my Africology lessons last Monday, I think, yeah. Where we spoke about one of the biggest weapons the Europeans have is themselves, in that the disease that they carry with them.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah. Did I talk about that last week?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So that is something.
You talk about the blanket. You mentioned.
No. I'm just talking about their body.
You didn't talk about that last week. You talked about
He did talk about a blanket as well, but he did talk about what they carry within them being
just on your body. Because remember,
Yeah.
we're one of the biggest contaminants of. If you're working in hospitality or catering in the kitchen, you have to cover your hair, wear gloves, yeah, maybe a snood, all these types of PPE. Okay, why? Because you are a potential contaminant. You could contaminate the food, so we have to, and you have to keep washing your hands. Why? Because the human body is something that carries lots of bacteria, lots of germs, and that kind of thing. Yeah. So before we become exposed to this in Europeans, the biggest weapon they had was those same germs. Because they'd come in your village, boom, that's it, you're gone. Extermination.
Oh.
So one of the biggest weapons they ever was that. Just by saying hello, you could die.
Really?
Of course. I'm just
Yeah,
exaggerating, so you get the idea.
Yeah. Of course. Wow, guys, a late night talk show every Wednesday from 10 till 12 on Ontop FM 95.5 on your FM dial. We are here with Khareem Jamal from the School of Africology, educating us on all things black.
Well, I would say that
On just our history.
It's world history, isn't it?
World history, yeah.
Black history is world history. Because we're everywhere.
School of Africology.
Yeah. And one thing which people, the listeners, get out of your head the idea of black people just coming from Africa. We come from everywhere. I mean, it started their journey there, but we're everywhere. So, sometimes we just get this polarized view of just looking for black history in Africa. Or where they took slaves, but we're everywhere.
Yeah.
What's up?
Mark Zuckerberg's looking at us.
We said the wrong thing, yeah?
Wow. Yeah.
So, we've still got 10 minutes left, 9 minutes left. The studio line number is 079-888 955 055. That's 079-888 955 055. But in terms of where can people sort of finding you, but how do you teach people this sort of stuff? Do you have you said you'd have to come in here once a week for a whole year and you're still scratching the surface. So how do you educate people through what it is that you do to be able to get this? Because then we would be sitting on one subject for we've touched on enough different areas of different things. We've talked about various countries, we've talked about various cultures, we've talked about different things within those same countries as well. I don't know. How do you go about putting together a course where you're teaching people about this stuff?
So remember I said to you last week, an organisation may say to me, Khareem, can you come and run a course in our facility for 10 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
And I say, yes, fine, no problem. What do you want? And I just put a curriculum together and I just teach. Yeah, so wherever people want it, that's where I run it, and then they advertise it.
No, I get that. So you, for example, you said you're doing one in High Trees in South. you put together a curriculum, but what does that curriculum consist of, and how do you get to that? Why do you put that? How do you get together that curriculum that you put forward at that particular place? Because it's so wide. So, you know, I want you to teach me Black history. You're going to say to me, well, what do you want to know? I want to know everything. So how are you going to teach me what is more that I need to know right now, or that's in that 6 weeks or 12 weeks to give me some kind of knowledgeification?
Number one, you can't know everything, and you can't know everything in 6 weeks for sure.
Well,
you know,
yeah.
So there's so many different topics. So it depends on how I compartmentalize them. What do I put them in? So maybe I might say, well, there's Egypt here. You know, we'll talk a bit about Egypt or whatever. Although I tend to do not so much of that. I want to, because people know Egypt pretty much. Although it should be still taught. Other people do that.
Yeah.
I want to teach people about things that, you know, that has a kind of wow factor. So, wow, I didn't, really? That kind of thing, you know? So I might talk about Greece before Greece was Greece. You know,
what was Greece before it was Greece?
Well, so who's living there in Greece? So you got the Pelasgians, people from North Africa, who occupy most of the Greek islands and so on. Rome before Rome was Rome, who was living there? People, you call it Etruscans and stuff, Garamantes, people from North Africa again. Remember, the North Africa is facing the Mediterranean, you know, and we share in the same space. So lots of different groups go to these islands, go to the European mainland, you know, places you know as Turkey, which was before there was Anatolia, it was called, you know. The whole, all right, let's take some typical stories here, like Greek classical history. Let's talk about the Trojan Wars. Everyone knows about the Trojan Wars. The movie, you see Brad Pitt playing Achilles and stuff. But you don't hear about one of the major heroes in that story, which is a man named Memnon, who's the king of Ethiopia, who's the nephew of the king of Troy, which is Priam. So in these characters, you have many Black characters, but you don't get to hear them when you don't see them in movies. You don't hear them don't mention them in the books, but they are in the original stories.
Yeah, but also the people that play some of these characters that are supposed to be Black, they play them white, so you don't think that they're white, and they're not actually white, they're Black.
Absolutely.
Like Cleopatra, for example. She's portrayed by Elizabeth
Taylor.
Yeah.
They've got a new movie they're thinking about now, and they're casting this Israeli girl who played Wonder Woman, I think.
Oh, I saw that. There was a bit of a little outrage.
Cleopatra. However, but Cleopatra's not black, you know.
No.
Because remember, that dynasty is the Ptolemaic dynasty of Egypt, which is founded by Alexander the Great's general Ptolemy. Maybe we could talk about that. But Ptolemy starts a line of Greek African pharaohs combination, so now mixed breed. Yeah. Okay, so Cleopatra. By the time you get to Cleopatra, she's Cleopatra the 7th, by the way. The Cleopatra that you know.
Her?
Yeah, she's the 7th Cleopatra.
She's the 7th. There has to be 6 before her.
You're funny.
Well, you don't say, but still, I didn't know that she was the 7th one. You don't hear about there being 7 Cleopatras. You just hear about Cleopatra in the milk bath.
Exactly. So Cleopatra the 7th. She's the 7th in the line of Ptolemaic Cleopatras. Yeah, which is a mixed race, if you like. Race, I use the word loosely, of Greek and Egyptian. Okay, so she would have a lighter complexion, but she definitely was not Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah.
So, you know, and they like to sell these false narratives so that it pollutes our idea of Egypt and history there. If we see Cleopatra like that, then the rest of Egypt must look like that too.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? That's the kind of thing that they want to sell to us.
I remember when me and my sister went to Tunisia, and my other sister, she's lighter than me. Oh, sorry, our other sister is lighter than both of us. The guys were like, yeah, so where you from? We're like, yeah, we're Black. And they're like, no, you're not Black. And I'm like, yeah, we're Black. And they're like, no, you're not Black. Yes, we are Black people. They're like, no, obviously they wasn't talking like us, but they was like, if you want to see Black people, I can show you Black people. So but the only way they know Black people is like the colour of your coat. That's like, they don't see, because we're light skinned, you know, that we're Black people. And they couldn't get it in them that we are Black people because we're not what we see. And they, you know, they thought, they was like, no, but you're like us. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You know, I'm not. And like I said, she's lighter, and I guess I might be a bit dark today. A bit darker. You know, I go through my light times, and so short of I didn't get a tan enough at that point because I just reached there. But it was...
I remember those people probably are not even aware of much of the history that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, even the most common history about the slave trade and stuff like that, a lot of people don't even know nothing about that. Yeah, we assume that they know these things because it's kind of regular history. Everyone must have known about the transatlantic slave trade. They must have known about the Caribbean and how black people supposedly got to the Americas and that kind of thing. Yeah, through slavery and blah 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 blah. A lot of people don't have any idea. They never studied that. They don't teach that. Why would they teach that in Tunisia today? Do you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, unless they're educated in university and have a wider, broader scope of education or exposure to knowledge, won't even know any of those things. That's why they can't get it in their head that what you're saying.
And I guess also, you know, it's that story that's just not told, isn't it? Like the countries, look, we don't even have history really about black culture in this country, much less any other country. And if we're meant to be like a first world country and these are second or third countries or whatever they are, yeah.
Well, let's think logically for a minute. Why people campaign for black history in schools? Think of yourself. Why would Britain teach you about your history, in the process denying the false narrative that they've created? Logically, they're not going to do that, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, us asking for black history in schools, yeah, they will do something because there's an outcry.
Yeah.
But what will they won't go deep.
Yeah, no.
They won't touch anything like
basic,
that we've been discussing. They'll give you some briefs, Harriet, probably talk about Harriet Tubman and
Mary C.
Cole, civil rights, all of this stuff, They'll talk about that, but they won't give you any deep stuff.
Martin Luther King.
They'll keep it,
the basics.
Yeah, basics, to keep it quiet. Or they keep black history.
And to make you feel like they've given you something to work with.
That's all I did.
Khareem, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for 1 week, part 2. 1 week that became 2 weeks.
And 1 week became 2.
How can people find out about you? Quickly, you got 30 seconds to sell yourself.
I gave you your handles, my handles on social media handles. So we're on Instagram at Africology. We're Facebook. We're everywhere. It's just Africology. You find it. Put it in there. You'll find us.
Okay. Well, I'll post it.
We've got 2 there. Africology and Voices of Black Folk. So you'll see that.
Cool. Thank you very much, people. It's been a pleasure. Make sure you tune in next week and see what we got in store for you next week. It's Late Night Talk Show every Wednesday from 10 till 12. 10 till 12 a.m. So, guys, thank you all for tuning in. And, yeah.
Great.
Good night.
It's been great. Tell a friend, tell a friend.
Good night.
Good night.
My bum is not my own. I see the way. Trust me.